I must confess to my embarrassing meeting with you in the dressing room, though, where you were standing next to Gene Wilder, and you looked so fit. I thought you were his bodyguard, and I didn't recognise you. You look wonderful.
Thank you for that.
In training.
Well, no, it's rehearsals. It's rehearsals and blank verse that keeps you fit.
And worry.
I'm actually thinking of promoting that as a keep fit exercise.
I imagine it would work very well indeed. I said the Bloodthirsty Scot. Are we allowed to talk about the play?
Yes, there's so much history of superstition about this play. When you're actually doing it, you have to put it all aside, because you can't refer to it as the Scottish play, which is how it's customarily referred to when you're in theatres or even sometimes outside the theatres, right. Because it has this stigma of misfortune attached to it. And a lot of that has to do with, it's a dark play. Most of the scenes happen at night, and directors and lighting designers like to give a very atmospheric ambience to the stage. So what happens is that actors walk into things and they fall off things. And then at the very end, there is a massive sword fight between Macbeth and his chief protagonist, Macduff. And these things are dangerous. Usually they're in two-handed claymores. And so people get hurt.
Isn't there supposed to be some kind of code interwoven, though, into the play itself?
I've heard this, that some people allege that within the language there is a secret dialogue written, which, unless you know what it is and how to look for it, you're unaware of it. So even now, while I'm talking to you, there would be inside my language some kind of satanic rune. But the one important thing to know about all this superstition of Macbeth is that there's an antidote to it. And the antidote is A Midsummer Night's Dream. So if you mention the name of the play, you simply mention the dream, or you quote from the Midsummer Night's Dream, which allegedly has the same good, white, beneficial elements running through the language as well, and that will undo whatever darkness has been cast by quoting Macbeth.
Is there any indication yet that your play is cursed, your production is cursed?
You see, what do I say? If I say no, everything is fine, then I will be tempting fate. We've had nothing perilous happen to any of us yet, but we're only in our 4th week of rehearsal. We run the play for the first time tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, so maybe if you call me up and ask me that question again, I'll have a better answer for you. I've got a question for you. Actually, I've got 2 questions for you. I noticed, watching your show, that the build-up, you know, the montage of guests that you have, I'm never on it. No, it's just...
Actors. I mean, actors, really, eh?
Years ago, I used to drive a director...
This is a very long question you're asking, by the way.
The question's passed.
Oh, sorry. You don't need an answer.
No, there's no answer. That was just to make you feel a little uncomfortable.
Thank you.
But every morning, I used to drive this director to North Acton, to the television studios where we were rehearsing. And every morning, he would talk about his favourite actors. Now, he was sitting in my car and I was driving him. And every morning he would end up, well, most mornings he would end up by saying, in my opinion, the best 5 actors in Britain are... And then he would list them. Now, the names changed constantly, but my name never once appeared on the list of names.
You must be suffering from terrible low self-esteem because of all this.
I think most actors are, don't you? Isn't that your
I think that's
impression?
absolutely right. But anyway, let's talk about you, because you're one of my 5 favourite actors. Along with Gene Wilder.
Of course, yes. And that brilliant classical actor, Ian Hislop.
Ian Hislop, but I'm seeing no, he's the villain, Ian, he's the villain. Yeah, so let's now talk... That's interesting, that thing about low self-esteem of actors, too. Because a lot of actors I've interviewed, yes, they have that as well. I can't imagine how they make that transition from that position of being that curiously sort of almost shy person onto a stage.
I was just discussing this very matter with somebody last night. There is something about putting yourself into another person's body and brain and imagination, not being Patrick Stewart, but being another person in which you're liberated, you're free, you can no longer humiliate or embarrass yourself. Nobody can say, you're an idiot, you're a fool, because you're not you, you're somebody else. And at a very early stage, I found that the stage was a safe place to be. It was predictable, it was planned, it was coordinated. Now, in the way that I work and most actors work, it's become, once again, a rather unpredictable place, because we're much freer and looser in the way that we stage productions now than we were. But I felt that from the age of 12 that the platform I was on, brightly lit, with a darkened auditorium, and in the school hall at Murphy Secondary Modern School, 200 or 300 people out there, it was a far safer place than being out in that world.
But what were you frightened of?
Well,
was it your father?
my home life was a bit turbulent. It was a bit chaotic.
Sergeant Major, came out of the army and was quite military.
A superstar in the military who then had to deal with a very, very humble and modest post-military life. And like I think a lot of military men, it made him unhappy. And that unhappiness took form in weekend drinking and sometimes violence. And it made home chaotic and...
So you're looking for that refuge?
Well, there were two things. Being in amateur drama it gave me an opportunity to become something other than Patrick Stewart. It gave me a reasonable excuse for not being in the house at night. And the other thing, which you must have heard many times, it was the best possible way to meet girls.
Ah, well, now we're talking. But, I mean, you know, this low self-esteem of yours, which seemed to last for quite a while, actually. I mean, you were 47 by the time you got the Star Trek job, weren't you? About that?
I was exactly 47.
47. Yeah. But then, you see, you were voted the sexiest man on television, not once but twice. Now, I bet that did wonders for your self-esteem, eh?
It did momentarily. You know, it's like reviews. You don't believe the good ones, you only believe the bad ones. Well, it just would have been nice if it had happened when I was 17.
Yes, yeah, well, I agree with that. I was a late developer too, Patrick, yeah.
In the sexual sense?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Well, I mean...
Do you want to elaborate on that?
No, I mean, you actually got married to have sex in our day, didn't you? I mean, that was the only way you got it. I mean, that is lasted nearly 50 years means I made the right choice.
You led a very sheltered life. But then you were a grammar school boy.
I was a grammar school boy. You were a secondary modern boy, weren't you?
Yeah, that
well,
made all
that's
the
interesting
difference.
too, of course, because, I mean, now again, you've gone full cycle, because you're this secondary school boy, left school at 15, worked in a cub reporter, worked as a furniture salesman, became a big star, and now you're the Chancellor of Huddersfield University. Yeah. So, you know, you've gone full circle, haven't you?
There really is nothing that I'm prouder of than that. And when 4 years ago I was approached by the Vice-Chancellor saying, if you were asked, if the Council offered you this, how would you react? And my response was instantaneous, for so many reasons. It came at a point when I was teetering on leaving my life in Southern California, leaving Los Angeles and Hollywood and returning here. I was bitterly homesick. I wanted to do the kind of work that I'm doing now at Stratford and at Chichester. And the offer of this job, which seemed so perfect, having finished my formal education at 15, in a sense, a secondary modern school failure. But to be returning to my community as Chancellor of the local university seemed so appropriate. And it's given me an opportunity to become part of that community again, to really inject myself into the life of the campus and promoting it. And I'm happy to say in the 3 years that I've been there, the applications and every aspect of the university has been rising.
You mentioned there being unhappy when you were at the height of your fame in America, or nostalgic at least for that which you'd left behind.
You know, what I'm doing now, I spent the day in a rehearsal room today rehearsing Macbeth with a brilliant company of actors, a wonderful director and a great play. And I'm as happy and contented as I could possibly be. When I went to do all this exciting and thrilling work in Hollywood, and remunerative work too, and the sunshine and palm trees and all of that, it was fun, but there was a substance that was lacking in it. Because what I'm doing now is all that I wanted to do, and I increasingly began to feel panicked. I had two lots of panics living in America. One was that I would never find my way back to where I am now. And the other one was, and this will seem curious to you, was that I would be knocked down in the street. And I would die lying on my back on an American street, looking up at the sky, knowing that I was dying and knowing that I wasn't in England. This became such a serious phobia. I would never cross the street, except at the intersections. I'd never cross against the red man or when it said, don't walk, because I was so convinced that this was going to happen to me. And it would have been possibly the worst thing that could have happened. So I relocated. I'm back here permanently living in England. I'm acting in Shakespeare again. And if I do get knocked down, it'll be on an English street at least.
Now, since you've been here too, I mean, you've popped up in various things, including you made a spectacular performance on one of our favourite comedy shows, where you played an actor.
Oh, you mean when I was myself?
Yes, that's right.
Extras.
Extras, that's right. Shall we have a look at that? It's a wonderful scene, this. It's very good, isn't it?
I mean, I don't know what to say. It was one of the grandest mornings of my life, shooting that scene. I'd never worked in that style before. I'd never had to balance on this fine line of being yourself and being then some imagined extension of yourself. And Ricky, who, of course, I think it's common knowledge now, is that he just laughs all through these things.
Yes.
While you're doing your coverage, he sits there in hysterical laughter, so you have to do it again and again and again. I think it's actually one of the things that I'm proudest of.
Really?
Yes, yes.
Good on you.
And
good on you. Now let's go back to Macbeth, which is at Chichester in June.
Chichester Festival Theatre, our press night's on the 1st of June.
That's right. And also you're doing it in conjunction with Twelfth Night.
12th Night goes into rehearsals right after we've opened. I'm playing Malvolio.
But you've never done that before. But you've played Twelfth Night before.
Oh, yes, many times. In fact, I toured it for 15 months, along with 2 other plays, Lady of the Camellias and Duel of Angels, with the final tour, the Old Vic Company, the original Old Vic Company ever made. And the company was led by Vivien Leigh, who played Viola, and Marguerite Gautier, and the leading character in Duel of Angels. And I was 20, and I was earning more money than I'd ever earned before, £35 a week, compared with the £10 I've been earning at the old Sheffield Playhouse. And we travelled all over Australia, New Zealand, and every capital city in Central and South America. And I was 20. I had my 21st birthday on that tour.
And what was she like, Vivien Leigh?
She was very unhappy, and I believe she had a history of instability. And while we were on tour was the time that her previous husband, Laurence Olivier, and Joe Ply were having their first baby, which I think created a particular unhappiness for her. But I can't be rational about her, because I was hopelessly in love with her. I would have walked barefoot to Jerusalem for what is the line? For one smile from her nether lip. She was dazzlingly beautiful.
Was she?
But it was more than just beauty, Michael. There was truly an aura that came off her. And when Vivien walked on the stage, walked into a room, got out of a car, something seemed to precede her. Actually, something did precede her, because she didn't like bad smells. And when she left her dressing room, which was invariably on the side of the stage, you know, the star dressing room, to go and make her entrance, she would be preceded by her dresser, who had one of those spray things, you know, with a thing, who would spray perfume in the air so that she would walk through this mist of perfume to make her first entrance. Now, can you imagine me saying to the stage management at Chichester, all right, I'd like my dresser to precede me with it.
Patrick Stewart, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Patrick Stewart.